Good morning. Good morning. My name is Crypto Amaru from Crypto Paradise. I'll be your host today. Pleased to be joined with here the Shift team. We have a multitude of speakers here from excellent projects that I'm eager to learn more about. So we will get into the nitty gritty of each project, what they're building, their background in crypto. But the big topic today is, what are the trends right now? What are the trends you guys should be paying attention to? Whether that be RWAs, whether that be DeFi, could it be memes? So we're going to talk about the big trends dominating crypto. We obviously see Ansem going on a massive run. Airdrops seem to be back in vogue. Very cool to see. And then also want to get everyone's take on the market conditions. Is this bear market really done, right? Last week, everyone was super bearish. I was the only bull. This week, maybe things will be different. So in any event, happy to be here. Let's kick this thing off. Would love to. I'm just going to go around the room from the top of the spaces and ask everyone to introduce themselves in like 1 to 2 minutes or less. How long they've been in crypto, what they're building, and then we can go from there. Seven, I can't see your whole profile. Yes, Seven from CoConnect. Why don't we kick it off with you, my friend?
Hi, how are you doing? How you doing, sir? How you doing? Thanks for the invite. A little bit of background. I am way too old to be in crypto, 50+ person, been in the digital space, IRL for about 20 years, decided to rock into crypto, found this rabbit hole, usual, story. And right now I am running, what I very proudly say, a very successful growth accelerator, working with some of the biggest projects in the space. Very keen to be on here. So offering a slightly different perspective. We're not focusing on specific projects. We help projects. So hopefully having me on board will give you slightly different perspective than some of our esteemed guests here.
Yeah, no, I mean, having someone working at an accelerator coming from the trenches of new projects, that's something that we at Crypto Paradise are familiar with. Pools as well, which is the launchpad we're involved with. So this is great to have someone with kind of your background. By the way, I couldn't help but notice it sounded like you have an English accent. Congrats on the big win from the other night, man. That was the match of the tournament.
Yes, when you rock up and the guys have got an 89-3, you're not very optimistic that you're gonna win. So what I mean by 89, they haven't lost in 89 games. They've only lost in 3 games. But I think, the boys stood up. They found different ways of winning. First half, it was more free flowing. Second time, it's backs against the wall. I'm always optimistic about our team. I could literally spend the next hour talking about football. But let's not do that.
About World Cup this space because we're all loving it. This has been, the best and most exciting and just all around greatest World Cup that I can recall.
How has it been from your perspective?
Tremendous.
How has it been from your guys? Obviously, it sounds like you got an American accent. I don't want to insult you if you tell me you're Canadian because I always get that wrong.
No, yeah, American, but obviously brutal loss yesterday. Just came out looking completely out of sorts. Apparently, our coach had made some changes to the structure, and so it's kind of like where players are positioned and so on. I don't know. It was just all bad, but I'm happy we got as far as we did. Overall, the World Cup has just been amazing, just amazing. So shout out to everyone who's been watching and not getting a lot of work done this July, aka myself, and probably Seven as well. All right, let's turn it over. Alex, I see you're here. Looks like you're from, okay. Beam. I recall Beam. But anyway, I don't want to introduce you. Can you introduce yourself and we'll go from there?
Yeah, sure. First of all, happy to be here. I'm Alex from Secret Labs. My crypto journey started at Beam about 8 years ago or so, and that was a privacy coin, and I'm continuing to work in the confidential computing privacy space now. So Secret Labs is a TEE company. TEE is Trusted Execution Environment. It's actually hardware-based encryption technology that allows running any computation with privacy and verifiability and without any performance penalty. be it like a smart contract execution as we do on Cedric Network, or up all the way to running AI models, running LLMs in full confidentiality and verifiability. This technology is developed, actually, this hardware is developed by Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA, and we're doing this. And what it does essentially protects all your computation from whoever owns the machine. So if you're running some stuff, running some inference on my GPUs, I cannot see what you're doing. And I can prove it to you because I can prove which code exactly is running on my machines. Or as our partners at Dungeon Labs are doing with Janus, they are running their DLM bots on our instances and also protecting the data and proving the integrity of the code to the operators of the bots. So that's us. We are all about confidential and verifiable computing, confidential and verifiable AI, and we are here to support the industry as an infrastructure provider that takes care of the data and takes care of convincing your users that your code is doing what it's supposed to do.
Super cool, man. I'm glad we have someone here from the privacy sector, because that is obviously one of the hot trends now in crypto, with Zcash doing what it did. And I'm seeing now even Ethereum's new roadmap focused heavily on privacy. And of course, there's many builders like you doing startups on building within privacy. So very glad to have you on. Appreciate you jumping in here. All right, let's turn it over to Junebox. How you doing, man?
Hey, good, thanks. How are you? Thanks for having me, guys. Justin here. I'm the Solana ecosystem lead at LeFi. We are one of the biggest interoperability players. So we essentially handle all different types of what we call on-chain orchestration. So whether that's cross-chain swaps, deposits into protocols on different blockchains, earn modules, aggregation of vaults, aggregation of perps venues, and all of the routing underneath. We cover quite a wide range of different flows that you can do on chain. Pretty much focused on taking all of the complex cross-chain nature of crypto and interacting with different pools and stuff, and collapsing that all down into essentially a one-click experience. So that's essentially just a summary of what we do.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Super cool stuff. I remember when interoperability, sounds like what you're doing is kind of interoperability, is what I would kind of frame that as. That was a big trend. I don't know if it's still a trend. Maybe it's just something that kind of is now in the background, and we're getting to the point where everything kind of just is seamlessly more working together, and it's not even a big deal, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's very true. I mean, thinking back to like 2017, 18, trying to move funds between different blockchains was a nightmare. And the best way was actually to use a centralized exchange. So, it's been an interesting shift. Obviously, we've done a lot of work to make all of these flows as easy as possible. As I mentioned, one click, one signature, to do multiple steps, cross-chain actions. I think the tech behind it has just gotten a lot stronger. A lot of the bridge providers have gotten a lot better. Solvers have come in that they're able to sort of solve order flow directly. It's been a lot of sort of converging factors that I think have sort of ended up here with interoperability feeling like it's on the back end and just something you don't have to worry about. Which I think is kudos to everyone who's been working on these problems.
Oh yeah, man. It's very cool to see the space having evolved from, back when I got in 2017. Hell, there was really only Ethereum. There wasn't even a multitude of blockchains. And then, of course, all the proliferated, and then interoperability was an issue. Very cool to have you on the space. All right, I want to turn over to Michael from Shift. What is going on, my friend? Good to see you. I guess we're making this like a weekly thing, huh?
It seems so. I like it this way. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Oh, that's good. So, welcome all the speakers. Thanks, Amaru, for hosting us today as well. It seems like a weekly thing, and it's getting, I think, better and better. Great host, great speakers today. And let's dive in. I'm Michael, one of the co-founders of Shift. Shift is a RWA token issuer, bringing fully backed stocks, ETFs, bonds, leveraged ETFs, and other financial tools as native cryptocurrencies. We're currently focused on our leverage ETF series, which we've been working on for the past few months. And I myself am in crypto since 2017. Was part of a wallet company which sold to Fireblocks, and then I went to work with Amurgo on traceability and transparency for blockchain for food safety, which actually is blockchain but not for finance. Interesting. And had a few other jobs which are interesting. CTO of a mortgage company. And then in 2022, when Terra Luna collapsed, we created Shift as we thought RWAs are needed to kind of protect people's money off on chain. And that's, it took us a long time to where we are today. We started with a really stable point. But we understood that it should be way wider. So nowadays we have both stocks, we have bonds, we have indices, we have leverage ETFs. We're working on structured products, on yield bearing products, vaults, and many other things. So really interesting times for RWAs. Great to be here. Great to speak with everybody.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Loving these weekly spaces. Obviously, Shift, we believe, is going to be one of the big winners in the RWA sector this upcoming bull run, just because they built an excellent product that appeals to retail. It can appeal to institutions. It's unique. So, and the team is fantastic in my estimation. So, yeah, we're excited to be here with you guys. All right, let's turn it over to Tori. Welcome to the show. I see you're from Orca. What's going on, man?
Yes, GM. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Yeah, my name is Tori. I run marketing at Orca. Orca is the leading AMM and liquidity infrastructure protocol on Solana. We've been live for 5 years, going strong, processed over $500 billion in trading volume. And yeah, our focus is pretty much just continuing to be that leading liquidity infra provider. If there's no liquidity in DeFi, there's no composability. And if there's no composability, there's, it kind of just leaves a black hole for all the things that make DeFi exciting. So yeah, happy to continue growing the pie for Solana DeFi, and grateful to be here speaking among you guys.
Hell yeah, man. I didn't realize Orca was such a big deal. I'm super curious to learn more. So hopefully you can elaborate as the space goes on, but good to have you on. And the final guest, I see we have Dungeon Labs. This looks interesting. This looks like this is kind of a meme play. Tell us about Dungeon Labs.
Hey, Amaru. No, yeah, I've been, well, I'll start with myself. Been in the space since 2017 again, was a builder in 2018 with trading bots, and then transitioned into Launchpad basis with Trailblaze and a DAO with Mighty Labs. And then this whole fair launch kind of meta came about, and we were interested in that. So we kind of released an experimental game called Dungeon Claw, which is it's a dungeon run game for humans and AI agents to compete for like USDC or Declaw. But what we found was that in this new meta, which is it's very interesting in many ways, there was a lot of gaps. And we were introduced to DLMM, which is it's a new. I guess everyone here is familiar with AMM, the automatic market maker, which Uniswap was famous for, and then SushiSwap, and then CLM came about, which was basically more concentrated. So instead of your liquidity being from 0 to infinity, you could choose which price ranges you were happy to trade within your liquidity. So it became a lot more efficient. But then when we were introduced to DLMM, we thought, well, this is very interesting. It's a smart contract that places bins around the price. This is really, really cool. But what we found was that it took a lot of manual operation. So what we've done I think Alex has mentioned it, in collaboration with Secret Labs, we've created a non-custodial system for DLM bots to automatically move the position around the spot price. Right, this was the weakness of just doing manual DLM. It's a 24/7 job. But here we could allow the bot to pull the bins, the liquidity bins, and then place the liquidity bins around the spot price in a variety of shapes. And obviously this allows for projects to capture more fees and be more efficient with any liquidity they're providing. So we started that project, and now we are in our pilot phase, and we're filling that up now. I think I was just onboarding, I think a guy just before this space. I need to continue after, but yeah, essentially what we're trying to do in Dungeon Labs is to create tools that are going to empower, mainly founders in this new, fair launch meta. But as well as, when we create a product, it's going to be for people that are used to the product. So DLM is rather new in terms of the chain that we're on right now, Base. We've just deployed as well to Robinhood because it's an EVM. But the next step is Solana, maybe where everybody knows about DLM. I think Meteora is the top there. They're doing 45% of their trading volume is from DLMMs. But you look at Base, it's just microscopic. So yeah, we're trying to push the space forward and teach people about this new system. And obviously with our bots in collaboration with Secret Network, very secure, right? So each, user participant has one signature, and then we have a multi-sig of one of two signatures, and then the bot has a signature, but the bot spins up their private key inside the TEE. So not the user doesn't know it, and essentially the bot only has certain operations such as pull bin, place bin. So there's no danger of your funds being sent out or somebody. It's not an LLM, it's a bot, so there's no prompt injection attack. And actually we're using the KMS, which creates a persistent private key. So that means that even when the bot crashes or has to be rebooted, it can then pick up where it left off and then continue placing and removing bins. So yeah, essentially Dungeon Labs in a nutshell, we want to create tools to empower projects to be able to, earn more fees and control the depth of liquidity. Because one of the great things about DLM is when the orders come through in the bins, there's no slippage, which is one of the factors that happens with these algorithmic, mathematical systems such as AMM and CLM.
Very cool, man. Very cool. For I don't want to get too deep in the weeds for those who are not, fully initiated to the, details of AMMs, et cetera. But it sounds like a very cool product. Definitely not a meme, but I recognize you from Mighty Labs. So good to see you, man. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, good to speak again, man.
And I think I heard you mention that you deployed it on Robinhood chain, which I'm curious to get into that as the spaces goes on. But before we do that, I want to turn it back to kind of the first speaker and go back around the room with the first question. First question. Are you currently bullish on crypto or are you bearish, and why? 7, bullish or bearish?
It's a loaded question, isn't it?
Short-term bearish, long-term bullish. You tell me.
Yeah, well, the sentiment changes day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Overall, I think we're all in here because we believe, right? That's the long and the short of it. If we don't believe, then there's no point us being in here. There are certain sectors, and obviously going to pick up on Shift, and there's a valuable reason why I believe the RWA sector is going to do well. Perps seem to be doing well. I'm not even going to talk about Ansem because I think that's an outlier. What he's done is phenomenal, and it's bringing a sense of euphoria on spaces, etc. Am I bearish, bullish? I think somewhere in between, and that's me being Switzerland, sitting on the fence and not giving a right or wrong answer. Honestly, I think we all need to believe. We all need to believe that there's a purpose of us being here without getting too philosophical. Times are hard. I'm not going to lie. I think projects are getting smarter. I think obviously you have the good, the bad, and the ugly in between. I don't know if that's answered your question, but I think saying bearish or bullish is, it's too simplification.
Fair enough. So Switzerland coming right down the middle. No worries. I mean, what you said was accurate in many, many ways, but hopefully Alex has an opinion one way or
Ye-
another. I'm just because yesterday we had last week was all bears.
Yeah.
Now we got one mid-level, kind of halfway. Alex, where do you stand?
Yeah, well, I think we need to distinguish between short term and mid long term. Short term, I don't even know. Like, I guess it's sideways and maybe a little bearish. And frankly, I don't really care. Okay, because we are here for a long game, and mid long term, it's obvious that we are bullish. The technology is amazing. The technology is getting better. More and more different technologies, both on and off chain, are getting integrated. AI now speeds up the development and improves the quality of everything we do by an order of magnitude. So I look at it as a time for builders, as any bear market is. Strong builders stay, weak builders leave. So we're here to stay, and long term, perfectly bullish. And the amount of innovation we're seeing now, including this latest partnership with Janus, is just great. And I'm sure it's just going to increase and increase, and things will improve. There's no doubt about this. So that's my take. Don't
All right, so
about
I realize
now, care about the future.
I think I asked the wrong question. That's a perfectly fine answer, by the way. But I think I asked the wrong question because it kind of is too vague. The real question I'm trying to get at is, do you think crypto is a smart thing to buy right now? And let's narrow it down to just say Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, like the majors. June, are you buying, or are you telling people to stay away?
Yeah, I've been buying for the past 6 months. I buy periodically every month, just to stay pretty agnostic to price movements. But yeah, I think there's a lot of interest. The guys we're talking to, big banks, institutions, asset issuers, there's a lot of interest in coming on chain, and a lot of them are sort of tinkering with the idea, shipping, have actually deployed already. So I think it's going to be a massive movement of funds coming on chain over the next couple of years. So I think I've always been bullish on crypto. I guess that's why we're all sort of sitting in the spaces. And yeah, I would say now's the good time to be buying, because yeah, everything's on the downtrend. And as long as you're sort of buying responsibly and not going out of pocket and sort of DCAing into different positions, I would say these next sort of 6 months to a year and a half are probably the best time to be buying.
Hell yeah, man. Love to hear it. We have one confirmed bull on this, actually two, because I'm a bull. Two confirmed spaces, two bulls on the spaces today. Michael, turning over to you. Last week you were bearish. What say you this week?
I'm still bearish in the short term, and I still think that there's, it's still going to go down, but I still think that in the long term, it's going to go up. That's what I said last week as well. And DCA is a good time, and buying the dip is a good thing, even though it's not a momentary dip. It may be a long-term dip. It's still undervalued in my eyes. So I guess I'm kind of bearish this week, even though, once again, it may drop a little more until it goes long range. But I love what Alex said. I don't care. It's about the long range. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
Right?
No doubt. I mean,
I'm not a day trader. I've never been a day trader. I don't know how to day trade. I don't know how to make money when it moves sideways. I don't know how to, endure the volatility. I can DCA. I can quietly, put in more and more and more, but not. I have no idea how to earn on the short range. No idea. So no
Trading
advice
is not
there.
easy. Trading is not easy.
I'm just not that person. I'm a tech guy.
Yeah, I mean, trading's not easy. You're a builder. I've never really met a builder who's a good trader. To be honest, it's two different skill sets. To be a good builder means you're spending all your time on your startup anyway, and not looking at charts. But okay, so short term.
The algo guys, bro. The algo guys.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think some of the best traders I've ever met have actually been devs working on high frequency trading desks, and these guys are absolutely. So yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, I guess there are some really smart devs who can do it all. I haven't met too many, but I suppose
they don't do the trades. They do the math and they let the machine run, but they make the most money.
I love that. All right, I want to turn it over to Tori. Bullish, bearish? Are you bidding up, or are you saying, we're seeing 40K Bitcoin?
Make me a third bull.
Let's
No.
go! Third bull!
NFA. Likewise, Michael, I'm also not a trader. I have zero skill in that department, but I think I'm definitely biased working not only in crypto but just at an actual exchange. So so a little background on me. I got into DeFi at the tail end of DeFi summer professionally, and I got my roots working at a lot of like borrow lend protocols in ETH mainnet. And one thing I noticed is at borrow lend protocols, you're kind of siloed into the amount of projects you can form strategic partnerships with. And here at Orca, I've had the complete opposite experience. It almost feels like on a daily basis, I'm interacting in some capacity with 2 to 5 projects at a given moment. So I get exposure to all like the exciting things that are not only like about to launch, but also like in discussions of when it's going to launch. So just seeing all the different projects that are still making a real effort to come to market and to, continue to add innovation into DeFi. I unironically just can't help be bullish. Does that mean I buy every day? Not really, but it does, like sentiment wise, like I couldn't see why not be bullish, especially in the long run. And if you're someone like me that, doesn't bid, especially in size, there's, especially with like the regulatory clarity coming within the last like 12 months, there's a lot of exciting new like yield products that are coming to market. So, if not bidding, then at least farm.
That counts, man. That counts. And hodling also counts. I think hodling is also a decision, right? Your decision is it's going to go higher, so you're hodling. So, happy to hear your perspective from the DeFi side of things. All right, and from the dungeon perspective, bullish, bearish, buying, selling, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's again in between. I think I'm definitely bullish on the builders I'm talking to. I'm bullish on the technology. I'm seeing the innovation, the solutions. I'm a little bearish on the retail coming at the moment. I think that's an issue that has to be dealt with. I think obviously the AI trend has really got people overly hyped on that tech. I think what's going to happen really is people don't realize, but AI is going to require crypto rails, right? So I think when that convergence occurs, we're going to see super bullishness because all the bullishness that came from the AI is now going to be, moving into this super convergence of AI times crypto. So I'm super bullish on that, but in the short term, definitely a bit bearish on, people understanding what's happening here. Unfortunately, there was a lot of, how do you put it, shenanigans or vaporware that caused a lot of losses. I think we saw the president walk away with a little stimmy package, should we put it that way? And that doesn't do great things for the space. But yeah, overall, absolutely bullish. You can't avoid crypto when you're talking about AI in the long term.
Yeah, nice. I'm glad you mentioned AI because I think that's going to be one of the 4 trends dominating crypto. Let's turn it over to that topic, shall we? Because that is the headliner of the space. What do you guys where do you see this market from a trend perspective? Right? There's AI, there's RWA, memes are still a thing. What are you guys looking at in terms of trends, and why? Let's start with
How's about? Oh,
if you don't mind. Yeah, sorry. I just like to go in order. 7, if you don't mind responding, because just to keep it in order. There.
Yep, sure. The trends, obviously, the obvious ones is AI. I have a slightly different perspective on this as well. I think there's a lot of, hope with AI. There's a lot of opportunity with AI, but there's also a lot of ignorance and dangers. I had a friend of mine who's heavily into AI, and he's saying people are adding their seed phrases and they don't realize what they're doing, and that kind of danger is purely based out of, things like on X saying, I've built this tool and I'm making $1 million in 3 seconds and stuff like that. People aren't necessarily going in with their eyes open, but obviously AI is here to stay. In what format? It's yet to be determined. It's well too early to say it's going to be this, it's going to be this, but we're already noticing even in the real world how much the impact of AI has or is having on medicine and treatments, etc. So on that sense, I'm just sitting on the fence and waiting. I use it like a lot of people in a very, very superficial way. I call it a time saver. If it saves me an hour there, 2 hours there, that's fine. If I can build out a tool that's going to make my life easier, definitely. Am I going to add my contract? Am I going to add my seed phrase? Hell no, I'm not. My wife runs a healthcare fund, and they're getting consultants coming in, and they're saying, oh, you should do this, and do this. I'm saying, where's the due diligence? Where's the checks on it? You're going to add all your details on this. So in that sense, I know I'm waffling a little bit. I think AI is, like I said, it's here to stay. I mentioned earlier RWAs. I think RWAs have been around for a while. I think the last couple of years. But I don't believe the infrastructure was there to support it, to build on it. I think, in the last 2 to 3 months, especially for projects we've been chatting to, it's a whole level of maturity. They're thinking about the infrastructure. They're thinking about tokenization, but they're also thinking about what do we do after it's tokenized? Do we sell it? What's the purpose of it? And I like that kind of maturity. Has it exploded yet? I have yet to see it. There are, like I said, we've been talking to some really, really big projects that we believe will explode, and obviously we're here with the Shift Guide, and I think that's a they're building the infrastructure, they're doing things the right way. Meme coins, they come and go, right? It's like your bearish or bullish sentiment. One day it'll be there, next day it'll go away, and then it'll come back again. It all depends on who's doing what. Perps, as we've already seen, a lot of platforms out there, some incredibly good, some less so good. That's pretty much what I've seen, especially with the conversations that we've been having over the last 2 to 3 months with potential clients.
I'm glad to hear you're seeing some utility plays and more substantive projects making a comeback. I do want to touch on memes for a second. I don't know, Alex, if you've seen the hype around Ansem. Do you think memes are going to be a big category this cycle, or it's more just going to be for a couple months and then attention will shift elsewhere?
Well, I'm not a big meme guy myself. I think memes had their heyday and their, whatever amount of minutes of glory, I guess, a year ago. So if you ask me to bet, I wouldn't say that memes would be the leading narrative or the leading thing in crypto. So that's my take. Not a big fan of that myself. So it's not a very expert opinion on this one.
All right, so maybe someone else wants to jump in on the meme question, because I keep thinking, I'm kind of like along the lines of Seven, like, oh, it's going to be, quick, it's not going to come back. But then it's like, bam, here goes like an Ansem, it's just going crazy. And then you see a bunch of copycats or similar ones happening. So I don't know.
I'm going to jump.
Retail, this is what retail wants.
Yeah, I want to jump in very quickly. So I'm in a couple of very good groups, and all they do is trade meme coins. That's all they do, day in, day out. It's not community building. It's not longevity. It's about making a quick buck. So do I believe it'll go away? I don't think it'll ever go away. Even when times were quieter, these guys were making 5-6 figures per week and that's all they do. That's their career. So I think there'll always be a demand for it. Obviously, Ansem's highlighted it, and in many ways it's scary because newbies will be coming in, and we'll know there'll be exit liquidity because they think they can make a lot of money out of it very quickly. But the guys that are seasoned traders, they're the ones that are actually really going to make bank.
Yeah, that's a really good point about memes, and I think it also applies to perps as well. Or prediction markets. Any of these kind of asset classes you're coming into as a novice, and it's really tough because you're going up against the guys who are doing it for years and they're doing it 10, 12 hours a day, and they're just better at it by now. They've got the better tools, more experience, all that stuff. So for those who are thinking they're going to get rich quick in memes, probably not going to work out for the vast majority. But sadly, for whatever reason, that's not going to stop a lot of people from trying. So, June, I'm curious your thoughts, stepping away, not just talking about memes, like what do you think are some of the big trends? Like if this bull market persists, what do you think is going to be a big trend or two coming in, into 26?
So we're in a bull market now.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe we're at the start of one.
Yeah, so from what I'm seeing, I think RWAs are the obvious answer here. I think it's been something that's been lacking on chain for quite some time. And I think there's obviously been a little bit of niggles for people coming on chain. There's the on-chain liquidity piece. There's all of the tokenization structures and all of that kind of thing. So I think there's been a lot of sort of testing and sort of, just exploration of the space. And now we're finally seeing people fully committing. I feel like there's going to be an interesting intersection between different sort of primitives that are available now, like looping of different assets. I think RWA looping is obviously really, really attractive. I think a lot of people in the crypto space are looking for bigger sort of returns than they would in the stock market. And traditionally with looping and all these things with assets that are historically more volatile, it's way more risky. So I think the ability to onboard the next sort of 100 billion users is going to come from tokenized equities, giving people in underprivileged sort of countries that are sort of not historically able to invest in US equities, different RWA assets, and giving them the opportunity to do that is obviously a massive thing. People can now not just hold US dollars, they can actually invest that into RWA. So I think that's a really, really interesting one, and somewhere that we're seeing probably most of the attention right now. And we sort of work on the plumbing and the distribution of these assets. So we've got quite a good line of sight into it, and it's looking really, really exciting. Another trend that I'm seeing now is the collectibles trend. So you see companies like Fidgetals and Collector Crypt, some of the highest revenue generating sort of protocols at the moment in Solana. So there's been a big shift towards collectibles. I think that's also off the back of the old NFT runs. And I think back then we were all thinking, the most obvious use case for this would be Pokemon cards and things that have sort of a real world value that we can sort of link to these, but the communities weren't quite there yet. So I think that's been a really cool shift that I've seen, taking away a little bit of the attention from meme coins. I think meme coins will always have their place. There will always be communities rallying around different tokens and different creators launching things. So I think there will have to be a next sort of evolution of meme coins for them to really kick off again. There needs to be some catalyst. I'm still unsure what that catalyst is. But I think there's a lot of interesting things happening at the moment. But I would say those are my sort of top 2 picks.
Very cool, man. I'm assuming, Michael, you agree. Maybe not. Are RWAs going to be the biggest winner this cycle? And if so, why?
I mean, of course I'm biased, so I'm going to say yes. I didn't want to talk about RWAs. I wanted to talk about a primitive that is basically a very big catalyst for RWA adoption, and that's stablecoins. I don't know who of you saw the OUSD consortium, 140 huge companies, kind of, I think, ganging up on Circle, I guess, because Tether plays a different game and they're not going to take their money, but it's kind of a USDC play, right? And so I think stables are a very big engine for onboarding Web 2 people onto Web 3. And then once you have stables, RWAs are just the next best, I guess, way to put that money to work. You don't want to hold cash. It's nice for buying, but it's not nice for holding. It's inflatable, etc. RWAs are the solution to that problem. So the more stables, the more quote unquote problem, the more RWAs. But that's just, one angle of it. The institutional angle is another. RWAs have been, sorry for the noise, tried to been around since 2018, I guess, even before. There are people who did tokenization back in, I don't know, even one like 2017, 16. I think there's this gentleman in the States that did things back then. These were very primitive and initial trials where regulation was unclear, structures were all new and being tested. And I think we've been through a lot in the past years. Securitized IPO'd, and RWAs are now a serious thing. And so, yeah, that's obviously the trend because I just want to say about memes, right? Memes, yeah, memes are a casino. And like similar to poker, you have professional poker players. They make most of the money. If you want to jump into a poker game, you're probably going to be sucked out by someone who does it better than you. And so poker's still around. Memes are still around. People love to gamble. It's not going to go away. And yeah, there are groups making 5, 6 figure, whatever. Even now, while everything is bearish, yeah, it's still running. I'm seeing these groups. They're making crazy calls. It's still running. But you probably won't be able to jump in and now and make a buck like you thought you would maybe. Even the people back then when it was all the craze did not make a buck. How much percent of the people made money off memes? 0.3, if I'm not mistaken. If you net it, right after everything, 0.3 maybe. Somebody correct me if I'm off. I may be off by like a few, but not a lot. So 99% plus lose and lost money on memes. So
That's a very good
it's not gonna go away. It's not gonna go away. Casino's open. Casino is always open. For better and worse. But you're not gonna put all your money in the casino. Your wife will kill you. So fine, do whatever with your extra whatever you got from whatever you earned that your wife hasn't used up for food. And then, you still need RWAs for principal. You still need somewhere to save your money. And that's not going away, and crypto is just growing. So those are my kind of predictions. Very biased, of course. But there's a lot of new trends that are continuing to grow. I have not the patience to talk more about AI. And people have said enough about AI, but really it's like it's taking over everything, and it will be way more massive and continue to fire a bunch of more people. I'm going to get some bionic arms, meaning that I'm not going to, I'm just going to have a Michael who never sleeps and probably does things better than me. He'll never forget, hopefully, because this Michael does forget shit. And then, I sleep, it doesn't sleep, et cetera, et cetera. I think we're all going to have like our bionic extensions pretty soon. And that's just day-to-day life, right? Beyond the fact that trading will pass when we finally get that, secure bot. It'll come. It'll take some time, but you'll give it your private key, not maybe your main wallet's private key. You'll give it, you'll put some money in it for a while, see it's not hacked. But as you see it's not hacked, you'll give it more. And if it earns, you'll give it more, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not a big fan of, giving people your private, or giving even bots your private key or anything your private key. But, time will make this mature enough to trust. And, that'll happen. So that's a trend in maybe not these couple of months, but next year's for sure.
Yeah, I think AI, obviously we agree AI is going nowhere. It's going to get more and more ingratiated into crypto writ large. I do see AI trading bots become more popular, as you're sort of suggesting. And I like your take on memes, by the way. Yeah, I mean, the casino's not going anywhere, but the fact is most people will lose, sadly. All right, Tori, what are your thoughts? What are some of your, maybe you have a different view, like, because you're a DeFi guy, right? Do you think DeFi is going to make a comeback ever?
I think so. I think one of the main trends that are in bloom right now and will continue to grow is the continuous RWA onboarding. I think we're a lot farther along than we were 1 or 2 years ago, but even now there's still such a large appetite for institutions to get some kind of exposure or products on chain. It's just there's not enough clarity nor infrastructure to make it happen. And so, that's one of the things we're kind of focused on working to solve at Orca. But, given the discussions that I've, heard, the demand is not going to go away, which is it's a good thing, net positive for all of DeFi. When more capital comes in, that's, obviously more volume, and that attracts bigger headlines, which attracts, a good signal to other institutions, and it just results in like a really good domino effect. On a personal trend that I want to see continue to grow, it's like it might be unpopular, but I do think there is a good space for meme coins and products like prediction markets to have their place in crypto. I think having a way to bet on culture, whether it's the outcome of an event or the proliferation of a trend, I think that's going to be a very interesting part of crypto in ways that the less fortunate or the the everyday working class, teenage or young adult can participate in. I grew up working like very like odd jobs, worked at grocery stores, mowed lawns. And there's just like, at that time, there's just like no opportunity for me to get into trading or like what would be like DeFi lending and looping. But if I have a way to, bet on a sports team of mine, or if I have a way to bet on a trend blowing up like 6-7, then that's a way for me to kind of enter the market and really level up and jump classes as an individual. And, that although it's not an ideal place to start, should the people that get the wins there get the wins, that can open up doors for more matured products and become more financially sound as time goes on. So, it's, again, not favorable, but it is an entryway, and I really do think it'll be here to stay. Having an opportunity to bet on culture.
That's a cool take, man. Yeah, I think I haven't heard someone set forth that theory, but basically prediction markets kind of a opportunity for people to generate some wealth. If you don't have a lot to begin with, you're not going to get rich investing in the S&P 500 if you have $500, right? You just, you need thousands at 10%, annual returns. You'll eventually get rich, but you need more than $500. Prediction markets could be that gateway. So that's an interesting take, man. Yeah, I don't do prediction markets myself because, I'm kind of the mindset of I think I'm getting outcompeted by a lot of the experts. But yeah, there's been plenty of instances where people have won big over there, and then maybe they move some of their assets over into crypto. And then also you mentioned institutions coming into DeFi, which is interesting. I've heard that being set forth as well from multiple sources, that institutions are actually looking at DeFi, which would be huge for the industry. So hopefully that does happen. All right, Dungeon, you're building an interesting product. Do you think, do you think AI is going to continue to be a trend in crypto, or maybe it's going to be something else?
Well, I'll start with the trends. I think definitely RWA is going to take off because stablecoins, right? Stablecoins enables, especially trusted stablecoins. People look at Tether. I think Circle is probably the most trusted right now. But then now with this OUSD, you're getting some very big, known brand companies coming in and providing that liquidity that can move frictionlessly globally for very low fees. So absolutely, RWA is gonna grow and be massive. I think memes are definitely here to stay. I think there will always be people that like to press two buttons, buy, sell, in a gambling perspective, right? I think the problem we're facing here is, whether gambling's right or wrong or whatever you think about it, what you need is a fair casino, okay? And I think Michael said that 0.3%. If I go back to that statistic, I think, if I remember correctly, that was the pump fun, profitable, shall we call them traders, over 50,000. And then it gets a little more, but it was definitely that only like about 1% or 2% made over $1,000, right? Which is crazy. So what you're dealing with there, it's not a casino, it's a rigged casino. So what we need is safeguards in place, and those safeguards don't have to be, authorities or bodies that oversee and grant licenses and all of this nonsense. We can deal with that mathematically with things like ZK proofs. Even when you go back to the cards analogy, the collectibles, it's a good narrative. I'll give it that. But the reality is this: the degens play, they gamble into the machine, the claw machine, and they pull out a card, and 95% plus take the offer. What's the offer? It's a 15% VIG against you. So really what we're facing here is, we call them experts, but they're not. It's just a very rigged casino. So it will always be there, right? I think Tori mentioned, the average Joe who works somewhere and just wants to make it. Of course, they're gonna, but lottery, is lottery going anywhere? I think it's the same kind of thing, right? Lotteries are never going to go anywhere, and they got 40% VIG against you. So looking at the mathematics, it's a losing game unless you're on the inside, right? So we can change that. A lot of these things are what they call bundled supplies, right? So you buy into a meme, everything looks great, and then all of a sudden, massive red candle, everything's gone. What happened? What happened, right? It was the same transaction that launched the coin, bought tokens at the same time. That's called bundling, right? So we're working on tools as well at some point. We're definitely working on verified pools. So you can look for a token. You can go to a deck screener that doesn't really care. You find a token. That's the token I want. I don't know about liquidity. I don't know anything. You buy into it. It's a sham coin. It's a sham pool. So I think the safety and security can come with technology. So that's there. Additional hot topics. I'm a firm believer in the age of utility. Right, I think we're going to get there. I don't know when, but I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see people putting investments into. Look, you look at penny stocks. There's no better thing than buying into a serious team at a very, very low valuation, and crypto enables that. Right, you can, fair launch. You can't really get better. I think they start at 10K or 20K coming up. You can get involved in that. And if the bet is, just like a VC, you're going to bet 20 bets and, maybe 5% of those are going to be very profitable. And that's how you're going to make money. And I think that's the fairest way of doing it, is betting on great teams, and great teams can try and fail. Not everyone's going to reach product market fit, but the capital should definitely be there and not chasing ridiculous narratives that are being sold by ridiculous people, right? So again, horses for courses, let everybody do what they want. But I think in time, the maths will show that the gains made from buying early into utility plays are going to outperform anything else for the average investor. So yeah, I think the age of utility.
I'm with you there. I mean, we're obviously working with the pools, Launchpad. We're seeing good projects come through. The difference, I think, between, say, memes and the utility plays, memes, they are so fast. They move so fast up and down, right? Like a pump fund meme, for example. Even one that runs to 1 million, it can be down to 0 in a matter of hours. And unless you're sitting in front of the computer, you have certain tools or whatever the case may be, you're not going to be able to get money out of that thing. Whereas you can invest into a utility play, like you said, undervalued, strong team, product market fit, hopefully gets listed on multiple exchanges. There's liquidity on the DEX. You can kind of be more comfortable knowing that, hey, I can sit on this. I can let the team cook, so to speak. And I will be able to sell even in a few months from now as I live my life throughout that time frame. So hopefully, yeah, you're right. Utility makes a comeback. I'm seeing a little bit of activity in the so-called utility trenches, with the pool's Launchpad. But we'll have to see, man. I mean, the cool thing about crypto is there's different things for different folks,
Right, horses for courses. Look at Venice, for example, right? So there's a perfect utility play. You stake the VVV, you get the DM. The DM is inference, right? The problem is now that now the VCs and they're invested, it becomes a tug of war between token holder value and shareholder value. So not all utilities are going to be the same. I think we need solutions for somehow that holders of these utility tokens can benefit from the success of the entity. Let's put it that way. So that I feel has not been solved yet. And as soon as that's solved, I think we'll see, we see memes move so fast. Why can't we see utility move so fast? The only reason is the capital doesn't move there because the narrative is, well, every coin is a meme coin. Litecoin's a meme coin. Bitcoin's a meme coin. I mean, what do they do? But if you really look at like the infrastructure and how they, how they operate, it's a completely different game. But from the outside perspective, from the average Joe's perspective, that it makes sense. I can see why memes are successful.
No
But
doubt.
I
No doubt.
just
We need to get back to the point where utility can also go up. Once utilities plays start to go up and retail can win there, I think they will also make a comeback. But we only have a couple minutes left before I got to jump off onto another engagement. But I wanted to give everyone just final thoughts. Like, what are you guys doing now in this market to kind of survive or thrive? Like, and what do you recommend to others who may be listening in on the space this year? What should folks be doing now? Seven, if you don't mind going.
Yeah, sure. Very quickly. If it was me, as in if I was a retail person, I would just hold a gunpowder dry. It's too risky right now. If you look at the projects or the things that are doing well, it's gambling. I know we've had this whole conversation about, people could make generational wealth. And for me, respectfully to some of our, esteemed guests, I disagree with that because as a couple of you guys have already said, the house always wins. If you do not have much to play with, then don't invest in it. I always say this is invest what you can lose, or if you lose it, it doesn't impact you too much. Unfortunately, there's not enough financial education in this space. Like I said, I'm a slightly older gentleman, so I've had, shall we say, 30, 40 years of Web 2 experience. So there's kids here making generational wealth within a couple of weeks, and then they lose it again in a couple of weeks, thinking that they can make it back again. And that's what I fear most. If you look at the things that are really doing well, especially from a retail side, it's gambling, it's collectibles. Guys like, Michael and some of our guests here that are building projects, it's a longer game. If you're looking at it from a retail investor, I know you mentioned the utility side. There's not much appetite for it. They want to see what's in it for their pocket. What can they gain? From a B2B side, it makes perfect sense. From a retail side, it's a very selfish, outlook. What's in it for me? What can you do for me? You're building this infrastructure, you're building this. What am I going to get? What can you do for me to get my attention from a billion other projects? And unfortunately, that's the reality of the retail space. Now, if you're in this audience and you're not, building a project, hold your fire. Just keep an eye on it. Don't worry about Ansem or whatever, because there's something else around the corner. All right. Do not waste your money. Build or invest in projects or people. I always invest in people. If I believe that this certain individual, has got the ability to build out things, I will invest in it. Even if the project I feel is a long shot, I think investing in founders is probably the biggest play, because if you invest in them, they will find a way to make it work. The project might not be the perfect project, but if you believe in the leader or the captain of your ship, then you got a chance. I don't know if that's answered your question. I know I went on a bit of a diatribe. Apologies for that.
No, man, I'm with you. Investing in people, that's really, all my best investments, that's kind of what I did. And then anytime I did an investment where I kind of had some questions about the person, back in my mind, I'm like, not really sure this guy's serious or can execute, that's when you get wrecked. So kind of got to follow your gut. But that's why these spaces are great, because you can get to know people a little bit better before you invest in them. All right, cool. Alex, any words of advice to folks who are in the markets now? What should they be doing?
Well, I'll take my stance as the leader of Secret Labs. I won't talk about investing. I will talk about privacy, protecting your data. Think where your data is going. Think where your AI interactions are going. Think who will see your data and when. And think that you might be just selling your soul for zero to big corporations or small corporations. So be aware of that. That's my take, and that's my advice to everyone. And onwards and upwards, as they say.
Good stuff, guys. I actually just got called into another meeting because I'm 3 minutes late for it. But awesome spaces today. Appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully you got something out of it. Everyone should give everyone a follow. I just gave you guys a follow from the Crypto Paradise account. Make sure everyone's following each other, and let's make sure to try to do this again very soon, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys. Been great.
Thanks. Amazing. Bye-bye.